39 stitches. A foot torn open. It began as a peaceful afternoon in a quiet hut on Rinca Island. Hamra, a 74-year-old islander, was resting after collecting firewood. The island, part of Indonesia's Komodo National Park, is a rugged paradise, where time seems to stand still, where dragons still roam. Then, in a flash, the silence was destroyed. A sudden blur of scales, claws, and teeth burst through the doorway. The creature wasn't after Hamrit had been chasing a cat. The Komodo dragon clamped its powerful jaws onto his foot. Blood pooled beneath him. His screams pierced the jungle. His wife, Sari, cried out for help. But by the time neighbors arrived, the damage was done. 0.39 stitches. A shredded foot. A brush with death. This wasn't a tale from centuries past. This was 2025, a chilling reminder that some ancient predators are never truly tame. A land where dragons rule. Welcome to Animal Quest. If you crave real, raw stories of survival and wild encounters, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Rinca Island is a breathtaking, untamed jewel in the Komodo archipelago. The dense jungle pulses with life, and the Komodo dragons, Earth's largest lizards, are the undisputed rulers. Here, nature's laws still reign. Hamra had lived here all his life. His weathered face told the story of decades shaped by wind, sun, and sea. Unlike tourists seeking thrilling photo ops, Hamra's bond with the land ran deep. I've seen them walk past many times. He said in an interview, his voice reverent, "As long as you don't bother them, they don't bother you." But in the months leading to that terrifying encounter, locals began whispering uneasily. Encounters were no longer rare. They were becoming routine. Some blamed tourists feeding the dragons. Others cited rising temperatures. But an elder at the market said it plainly. The dragons themselves are changing. Warnings were posted, precautions shared. But life carried on as usual. Hamra, like many elders, relied on instinct, a lifetime of knowing the rhythm of the wild. He believed the balance between man and beast was still intact. He was wrong. The attack, January 18th, 2025. It was early afternoon. The sun blazed above, and the air hung thick with tropical heat. Hamra had just returned from the forest. Exhausted, he eased into his favorite wooden chair. Sari was preparing tea in the kitchen. Their cat, Lindu, darted across the yard, chasing something unseen. The stillness was broken only by a soft meow, and then the moment that changed everything. The Komodo dragon struck. It lunged through the doorway like a missile of muscle and rage. Hamra didn't even have time to stand. It happened so fast. He recalled later, his voice still trembling. "I didn't see it until it was already on me." Between survival and tragedy, this is more than a story of survival. It's a warning, a glimpse into the thin, fragile line that separates the modern world from the ancient one. Komodo dragons are not monsters, but they are wild, instinctive. Remains, survival is never guaranteed. Hamra remembers the exact moment everything changed. "Then I heard the wood creak." He looked up and froze. Framed in the doorway stood a massive Komodo dragon. Its mottled earth-tone scales shimmered in the dim light. Its forked tongue flicked rapidly, sampling the air, honing in. Its eyes were fixed not on Hamra, but on Lindu, the family cat it had been chasing. But it didn't stop. The beast moved forward. One deliberate step at a time, unnervingly calm, as if nothing could resist it. And then, without warning, it lunged. Hamra's scream ripped through the air. "It's biting my foot," he cried, voice cracked with pain and disbelief. The Komodo's jaws locked around his left foot, crushing flesh and splintering bone with horrifying force. Its serrated teeth tore through skin and tendon. Blood sprayed across the floor. The predator began to drag him. A fight for survival, Hamra fought back with everything he had, kicking, striking, clawing at the monstrous lizard. Outside, Sari's scream rang out, trembling with terror. "I thought he was going to die in front of me," she later said, tears in her eyes. Komodo dragons are not swift killers. They rely on a slow-acting venom laced with anticoagulants and bacteria. Their victims often bleed out or succumb to infection over time. Hamra's foot was already a mangled ruin. The pain was blinding. Neighbors, drawn by the screams, sprinted toward the hut. One man grabbed a bamboo pole, wielding it like a spear, forcing it out of the house. Hamra lay on the floor, trembling, surrounded by blood. His foot hung by a thread. The aftermath: 39 stitches and a race against time and ambulance. Raced down the dirt roads of Rinka Island. The local hospital was tiny, under-equipped, but it was his only hope. Their doctors faced a nightmare. They counted 39 deep puncture wounds, jagged holes ripped through muscle and veins. The bleeding was profuse. But there was a deeper danger: the venom, already. Hamra's leg was swelling, his body showing signs of systemic infection. The dragon's bite had done more than shred flesh, it had poisoned him. But somehow, against the odds, he survived. Surgeons managed to save his foot. After meticulous work and 39 stitches, Hamra stabilized. But for the island, the trauma was only beginning. An island on edge. Why had the Komodo dragon attacked so aggressively, so close to a human home? Was it hunger? Was it provoked? Or was there something darker unfolding? An ecological shift, a growing boldness in one of Earth's most ancient predators. Locals whispered their theories. Some blamed tourist feeding, the dragons warping their instincts. Others pointed to climate change, dwindling prey, or encroachment on their territory. Park rangers launched investigations. Experts renewed safety warnings. "They are not just oversized lizards," said one ranger. "They are apex predators. And they are still wild." Even seasoned islanders realized they were not as safe as they once believed. The dragon returns, but the story doesn't end with Hamra's stitches. While he lay in a hospital bed on Flora's island, miles away, Sari remained behind on Rinka, tending to the animals haunted by what had happened. And then T came back. 2 nights later, under the cover of darkness, the same massive Komodo dragon returned. Grainy cell phone footage captured its approach, a ghost in the moonlight, gliding through the brush, tongue flicking, nostrils flaring. It hadn't forgotten. The dragon returns, a warning in the dark too. Nights after the attack, while Hamra lay in a hospital on Flora's island, the dragon returned. Its tongue flicked in and out, sampling the air. Its eyes, cold and fixed, locked on the same wooden hut. This time, the beast wasn't after Hamra. It was drawn by the scent, the lingering, coppery trace of blood soaked into the floorboards. It circled the home slowly, deliberate, patient, not hunting, but marking territory. Neighbors awakened by the eerie scraping of claws, and the deep, rhythmic breathing of the creature rushed out into the night. They banged pots, waved torches, and shouted, doing everything they could to scare the dragon away. Eventually, slunk back into the jungle's shadows, silent, watchful, but its message was unmistakable. This place had been claimed, not a random. A tackle-line crossed. This wasn't a fluke. On Rinka Island, once a Komodo dragon marks a place it does not forget. And in doing so, it reminded everyone of a truth too often overlooked. Coexistence with predators is always fragile. Local wildlife officials took swift action. Patrols were increased, safety notices were posted throughout villages. Tourism to Rinka was temporarily suspended. The community was shaken. Shockwaves across Indonesia, the story spread rapidly. TV headlines read, "Elderly man bitten by Komodo dragon on Rinca Island." Media coverage brought national attention not just to the danger, but to the underlying tension between humans and wild animals in a rapidly changing world. Some blamed tourism, others blamed development. Conservationists pointed to a deeper truth as humans encroach further into once-untouched habitats. The ancient laws of the wild begin to crack. "We can't fence off the dragons," said a local official. "But we can educate, enforce safety zones, and remind people these creatures aren't tame. They're survivors from another age." New regulations followed. Tourist access to sensitive zones was restricted. Rangers began tracking dragon behavior more closely. The real cost: a man changed forever for Hamra. The headlines didn't matter. His wounds were stitched. His foot was saved. But his soul was shaken. In a rare audio interview, his voice trembled. "I used to love this place. Now, I don't sleep. I see it in my dreams. That dragon eats, always there." For a man who once walked side by side with nature's giants, it was a devastating confession. Even the most experienced are vulnerable when the wild decides to reclaim its space. And ancient Force-awakened Komodo dragons are relics from a lost era. Apex predators unchanged for millions of years. On Rinca Island, they are not symbols or tourist attractions. They are sovereigns. Their kingdom is not ruled by fences or signs. It's ruled by primal instinct. What happened to Hamra wasn't just a horrific encounter, was a reckoning. A reminder that no matter how modern our lives become, the ancient rules still apply. And sometimes we forget who the guests really are. That hut still stands. Look closely, and you may still see the faint outline of a bloody footprint on the doorframe. A silent, chilling reminder of what happens when humans forget to respect the wild. Because when you live in the land of dragons, must never forget, it's their world. You're just visiting.